You're listening to the Business Spotlight Podcast, a production of the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce. I'm Logan Weaver, the marketing coordinator for the Chamber. Thanks for tuning in. First phone interview today for the podcast. Today, I've got two guests with me. With Cirba Solutions, I've got David Hall, the general manager, and Danielle Spalding, the vice president of communications and public affairs. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
So we'll just do some quick introductions here. So David, tell me a little bit about what you do as the general manager.
I'm in charge of the Howe campus here, which is located in Lancaster. I handle all the manufacturing and sales out of these two plants.
And Danielle, go ahead and introduce yourself. What do you do as the VP of Communications and Public Affairs?
Well, thanks. First, thanks so much for having us on. We really do appreciate it. Really, we're here to help support all of our teams, such as David, really amplifying the communications of what's going on in all of our local communities and supporting the community outreach efforts that we have.
So I think a lot of folks, at least here in Lancaster, and I would say Fairfield County, know of Cirba Solutions and I guess the predecessor, Retrieve Technology. So Danielle, I'll go ahead and ask you, for folks who may be tuning in for the first time, maybe unfamiliar with the area or Cirba Solutions in general, tell us, what is Cirba Solutions?
It's a great question. First, so glad to hear that we've got such familiarity. It's really important that we're a big part of our communities. So Cirba Solutions is actually a premier battery recycling and management company. Truly at our core, what we do is we take batteries at end of life, we process them to extract critical minerals, and then supply those materials back into the supply chain to make new batteries. And when, as you mentioned, the predecessor company, Retrieve Technologies, was actually part of an acquisition that happened in March of 2022. And that actually brought together the Retrieve Technologies, which has been the largest processor of end-of-life batteries across North America for all types of batteries, with the largest collector and transporter of batteries for end-of-life in North America called Battery Solutions. And then they combined with an organization called Heritage Battery Recycling, which was actually focused on the innovation and technology advancement of processing those end-of-life batteries, specifically for lithium-ion or electric vehicles. And so in June of 2022, which feels literally like yesterday, I must say, we actually rebranded to really become the very first fully integrated battery recycling management materials company. And that actually then comes from the duration of circular and batteries being brought together. So that's actually where Cirba derives from. And because we focus on solutions for our customers, for our team members, we felt it was important to have that as part of our name.
Now, when you say that you guys recycle batteries, are you talking more like car batteries or, like your AA, AAA type batteries, or is it more like a variety?
It's a great question. So all batteries, shapes, sizes, formats, chemistries, batteries power our everyday life, from the laptops, tablets, computers, cell phones that we're talking on today, to the cars we drive, communication, energy storage backup, healthcare systems. Batteries really do help not only provide an avenue of connection for us, but also innovation. And so because batteries are part of every industry, we're really proud to be able to say that we support batteries no matter the industry that they serve. Now, we do know that batteries are often talked about with electric vehicles, right, that are becoming more and more adopted throughout the country. But also we deal with batteries from the cars that you have today, right, the lead acid batteries. So whether it's that or even the cell phone that you want to go ahead and recycle, we can handle it all.
Awesome.
Yeah. And to Danielle's point, we don't turn anything away. We will find a method to recycle or a home for it to get it back into the supply chain. So we take everything.
Now, I do recall seeing at our trade shows and other community events where you guys would have the drop-off boxes at your guys' tables or booths, and I think that is pretty cool. It really shows that you guys can really recycle just about anything then.
Yeah, and what I love so much, and David can always take us through the process of once those batteries arrive in, what actually happens. But what we have so much is that our goal is to really help ensure that there's education about battery recycling and that there's access, right, to battery recycling. And the first thing that you kind of touched on, Logan, is the fact that awareness, right, of where it can even happen. So, you can get kits from teams like Cirba Solutions on our website to order and have it directly delivered to your home, right? And you can put all different types of batteries from your house in it, from flashlights to your cell phones to the AA batteries in all of my kids' toys, right? That are in there. And there's instructions in that and tools that we try to provide the community to really help also provide education, because there are different chemistries of batteries. But David, do you want to walk through a little bit about what happens with the batteries when they come into the facility?
Yeah, sure. And just kind of expand on something Danielle said. We're part of this gigantic supply chain. And what we're doing is putting those minerals and those chemicals back into the system instead of having them end up in a landfill. I'd always heard prior to working here about the problems with mining and how much mining it will take. Well, once we get the supply chain full, we're that part that keeps it full and keeps it from going to mining instead. I mean, we're very competitive that way with mining. So it's a good solution to a problem that's going to be coming up. And to kind of expand on, the how this works here, we have we purchase or recover batteries from different locations in general. We have a huge group of people out there across the United States doing that. Sort the batteries by chemistry, and then we'll process them. And an example processing here, and something that's growing really well here for us, is the lithium processing line. So what we'll do is receive the batteries in, they're shredded, separated, and turned into a material that's a precursor to the final battery grade salts that we'll be producing here shortly. So it's a really interesting process. It's kind of half recycling and half manufacturing, and we're getting more into the chemical process side of things.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting process that a lot of folks don't tend to realize. I mean, especially if you have anything from a car battery, which fortunately I've had to deal with a couple of times this past couple of months. But from the time that the auto parts store gets that battery back, like the old one, or even, as you mentioned, Danielle, if you've got, kids' toys, battery dies, you really probably shouldn't be throwing that in the trash. That's why places like Cirba Solutions is there to kind of recycle and maybe even eventually put that battery back into the system as it gets recycled and repurposed. So I think that's a pretty interesting life cycle that a lot of people may not realize is out there.
Yeah, there's value in those things. That's what we're recovering. I mean, we're part of that supply chain, that recycling component of that, bring it back in, and and we make money doing it. So it makes it worthwhile for the community, for the environment, and for our shareholders too.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things that David really said here too, and and if there's anything, Logan, like you said, if anyone takes anything away from listening to this, please recycle your batteries. That's the ask, right? That I in general, and your batteries are recyclable. The alkaline battery, which is the most common household battery today, we went ahead and we can actually process those batteries with regards to when after they're recycled. And those batteries go through basically a hammer mill. They get separated out. The plastic on the outer wrapper will come off. The steel, right, is the casing of the battery, is separated out to be used and goes back to steel mills for reuse. But then also inside that battery is actually a zinc and manganese concentrate that comes out. And what is fascinating that people don't realize is that while many batteries, like the lead acid from your car, is used to make a brand new lead acid battery. So lead acid battery in your car could be anywhere from 80 to 90% or more of an old lead acid battery. But your alkaline battery actually can be used, those materials, into micronutrients for fertilizer to help the nutrition of the soil for crops like corn and soybean to grow. So batteries have this amazing ability to provide value, right, in that next use of life overall.
I think what you guys are doing as far as being out in the community and being accessible for folks, whether they've got car batteries, whether they've got, at home use, anything like that or beyond, I think it's pretty cool that it is so accessible. So I know you guys had some big news last year, not just rebranding from Retrieve to Cirba Solutions, but a pretty big investment as well in your Lancaster facilities, nearly $250 million to really expand here in Lancaster. I'll just go ahead and have David and Danielle, I'll have you guys explain kind of that investment, what the intended purpose is.
So I'll give some numbers out. I'm going to really let David talk about all of the amazing things that are actually going on because of the investment at the facility level itself. Overall, we are investing directly over $250 million, right, directly into our Lancaster, Ohio, now campus that I love that we really are expanding so much into. But beyond that, it's not just about the direct investment, but it's about investing in those communities as well, as we mentioned. And, we're going to create almost and probably over $30 million just in new tax revenue, right, by the time this project is done. Over $518 million in economic impact by 2030. And, all of these things matter because what we want to do is help support truly the economic development overall. When we look about our engagement of this investment, this is about us being in Lancaster and continue to be in Lancaster because I don't know if the listeners know, but we've actually been in Lancaster since about 2000. I'll make David, does that sound about right?
2001, I believe.
And so we've been there for over 20 years. And we continue to reinvest in the location to really demonstrate not only that the community has been so supportive, but we love working with the Habitat for Humanity, the Fairfield County Fair, working with the high schools. And being able to support different chambers in the community, like the local disaster committee. And so, for us, it's about really expanding. And we were really fortunate to be able to have the Secretary of Energy, Jennifer Granholm, be part of our groundbreaking in August when we had that event. But David can speak so well to the on-site work that's going on. So, David, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, so it really started this last year with the upgrade of some existing equipment and on the lithium line specifically. We worked to more or less double and almost triple the output from that line. Right now, in process, we're working on another line that'll go in right next to that line in the existing building here, and that will be 4 times the capacity with that new line. At the same time, with the groundbreaking and everything else, we're putting in another building next door. We'll end up with 2 more of those type of lines in there. So it'll give us almost 12 times the capacity we currently had. 12 times, actually more than 12 times. After that, and that'll be about 100 jobs added to the area here. And these are not just any jobs. They're going to be generational jobs. These are going to be jobs that people want, that they want to get into, and they want to be part of. But it's also jobs at all levels. We'll have some like a standard battery technician that works on the floor, moving material around, all the way up to a chemical operator, a control room operator, engineers. I mean, we're going to be hiring. If I could get a message out, we're hiring. We're hiring a lot of people, and we need people, and we need this kind of thing now, this discussion now, to help get that word out. And just as a plug for that, anyone who's interested in positions here, go to CirbaSolutions.com/career, and we posted those jobs. We have about 12 jobs right now open for multiple positions on multiple shifts. So it's really, to me, it's a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity for me to be part of that, growth. So after we get that 12x, that 12 times growth here, we're going to work on the advanced hydro process, and that's going to create the final product that isn't made in the U.S. right now, which are battery salts battery grade salts that would go directly into the battery making process. So it's huge, and like I said, to me, it's a once in a lifetime chance to be part of something like this. Folks that would get in now would have opportunity ahead of them for years and years to come. Opportunity to grow, opportunity to advance, and because this business, for me, this business is kind of unique. A good example, the current plant manager at this facility, he's been here 14 years. He started on the floor and he worked his way all the way up through. And you just don't see that very much anymore. And the kind of opportunity that was afforded him, we afford to everyone here if they're willing to come in and they're sustainable minded type people and they fit well with that. It's a win-win for us and them.
Yeah, and David, you really hit on the point that I was going to ask you about was, with the growth comes new jobs, and that's something that we love to hear. Not just that, but the major investment that Cirba has made into the community. We love seeing organizations like that not only stick around for as long as you guys have, but continue and double down on those types of investments. So props to you for, helping maintain that facility out here, and for Danielle and the rest at the corporate level, seeing the value in Lancaster and Fairfield County to make those kinds of investments and this long of a commitment to the community. I think a lot of folks, both here in the economic development world and really in the community too, I think really appreciate those types of commitments.
Yeah, it's real exciting, Logan. I mean, it's been a long time since I've been this excited about a position and the opportunity here.
All righty. And real quick, Danielle, we are getting short on time, but I want to give you a chance to mention about not just in Lancaster, but also had a note here about expanding jobs in Ohio. So kind of tell us about the more or less regional growth of Cirba Solutions real quick.
Oh my goodness. I don't know if I have time to talk about all the growth we've got going on. I guess because David did such a great job of really identifying out, what we'll start with is that we are expanding our opportunities, truly with different organizations, with different outreach efforts, with different partnerships, and different direct-to-hire positions that David had mentioned with over those 100 generational jobs. So what I'll say is that, please go to the Cirba Solutions /careers, as there is constantly being updated with new opportunities. We're expanding the team in many ways, right? From, whether you're looking for logistic coordinators to, teams on the floor, any level really becomes available. And so we're going to be constantly adding to that overall. But I think that if they'd like more information, they can always feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to give Logan our information out as part of the podcast that goes out. So they can reach out to us, or of course, we are part of the chamber. So any chamber members, if they've got any questions, or members of the community, can reach out to us that way as well.
That's Danielle Spalding, Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs at Cirba Solutions, and David Hall, the General Manager for Cirba Solutions in Lancaster. Thank you both for joining the podcast today.
Thanks, Logan.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Business Spotlight Podcast, a production of the Lancaster Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for listening.